I now give the floor to His Excellency Denis Ronaldo Moncada Colindres, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Nicaragua.
Señor Presidente,
Mr. President, distinguished Secretary General, we come to this 77th UN General Assembly at a time of extreme vulnerability and danger, which has put and continues to put life in all its aspects at risk, in this world where we should instead be united to continue facing the great social, economic, climate, cultural, and security challenges to which the human family is exposed on a daily basis. We come to speak on behalf of a heroic, dignified, sovereign, free people who, together with so many other heroic, dignified, sovereign, and free peoples of the planet, have been demonstrating and exercising our national dignity and sovereignty, faced over centuries with the avarice, the colonial and imperial greed which from Europe and from the north of this wounded continent has raged, attacking, intervening, invading, and occupying our sacred lands. The invaders have been expelled from Nicaragua and defeated by the bravery of Nicaraguan patriotism. Our own courage has also been inspired by the great revolutionary and evolutionary liberation struggles of the admirable peoples of this world. In these times of brazen and violent, greedy, ambitious, avaricious practices, of absurd political pretense, and notorious spiteful media farces, people seek to seize our freedoms, our natural and cultural heritage, so as to impose something that they will never be able to achieve, namely a global society governed and administered by those who have committed and shown off their criminality with horrifying and stunning shamelessness and the most tremendous looting of the riches of our common home. The assault, the robbery, the disgraceful, abominable depredation, the looting and the genocides unleashed by the colonialists and imperialists of the earth are real crimes, such that they are the real criminals against humanity. And we denounce this. As we appear on this last day of the 77th General Assembly session, we do so with our heads held high and our hearts full of freedom-loving, fraternal solidarity, espousing lasting justice and peace and sovereignty and independence that must be respected. And we have a character, a great deal of character, a great deal of resilience, a great deal of heart to defend what is ours. We speak the language of a human community that demands recognition of our particularities, our models, and our ways of life, our creeds and beliefs. In accordance with our own history, tradition, and aspirations, which we must make victorious, because life is made up of efforts, of anxieties, of searches, of demands, of respect from everyone, for everyone. It is time to do more to make a reality the right of the peoples to a United Nations organization that represents us all, and one that does not submit to the designs of any imperialist power. It is time to assert a world of dialogue and peace, of justice and solidarity, of brother and sisterhood, and genuine, true goodwill coming together despite our differences, and thus enriching our consensus. It is time to assert our many voices, our demands, our causes, which can no longer be ignored, nor buried under piles and mountains of idolatry, of selfishness and indifference. It is time to transcend the selfishness that murders, that kills millions of human beings in the world, subjecting them to the cruelty of poverty and extreme poverty, out of the barbaric, animal-like instincts of the great powers, who seek to sustain and even perpetuate their domination at the cost of hunger, ill health, climate destruction, ignorance, war, and all the darkness derived from hatred. It's time to continue to reject criminal blockades, all of the so-called illegal, arbitrary, illicit, aggressive sanctions which make self-evident the perversion of an imperialist and capitalist system and model which prevails and seeks to continue imposing punishments, bleeding the world dry, in full view and with the patient complacency of the organisms that should defend it. It's time to say enough. Enough to the lack of common sense, compassion and spirituality, to the appalling and utter disregard of the human condition and soul. It is time to say enough is enough, to rebel and continue to rebel against the innate evil of capitalism, which suffocates the majority while brutally enriching the few. It is time to say enough. It is time to say enough to the hypocritical imperialism that politicizes, falsifies, and denigrates the very human rights which they themselves violate and deny on a daily basis. Imperialism and its coercive actions against life in all its spheres, which are contrary to international law in and of themselves. It is time to stop, with the help of everyone, invasions, aggressions, and occupations affecting so many territories made for the glory of God, in terms of the right to a safe, harmonious life, with rights, with decent work, with food and sustainable and viable means, to be able to affirm the well-being and happiness that we deserve. It is time to denounce and put an end to the capital sins used to justify intervention and interference in the internal domestic affairs of each country. And it is time to assert the freedom to be ourselves and not what others want. Those who demand, who wage war, seeking to displace us and continue to occupy us so as to plunder our cultural and natural riches. It is time to enforce the principle of the sovereign equality of states in all international organizations and fora, so that this multipolar, non-aligned world, which we have worked so hard to bring about, becomes a reality, is strengthened, and grows, while taking all of us into account. It is time to ensure that the UN Charter and so many organizations that should serve to bring us together are valid for everyone and respect the rights of everyone. Now is and should be the time of the people. Countries that have lived through all the fires of greed, avarice, selfishness, the vainglory of vanities, and the search for absolute dominion by others over a world that does not belong to them. We must all strengthen and consolidate our identities and consensus, together defending culture, justice based on respect and peace in all the relevant spaces. Our solidarity and committed embrace with the dignified and brave Venezuela, with heroic Cuba, with the historic and noble battles of the Palestinian people, with the Islamic Revolution of the Iranian families, the continuing great battle of the Russian Federation against fascism for security, integrity, and peace, which will continue, we have no doubt, to gather victories. Our embrace of solidarity to the admirable resistance and just development of the People's Republic of China, which generates so much discomfort, concern, and envy among the enemies of the common good. It is time to remain united with Syria, with the Saudi Arab Democratic Republic, with Belarus, with the peoples of Asia, of Africa, and of our America and the Caribbean, fighting all the magnificent, momentous struggles that we are sure will result in the most sublime and supreme triumph of all time, another world that is now indispensable and cannot be postponed. Sisters and brothers, in Nicaragua, there is a patriotic nation, and because there is a patriotic nation, there is peace. In the name of our generals of free men and women, Augusto Sandino and Benjamin Zeledon, national heroes and heroes of anti-imperialism who fill our hearts with the resolution to fight and continue overcoming. In the name of our infinite Father of metaphor, of dreams and realities, both worldly and heavenly, our magical teacher, the great Rubén Darío, we greet each and every one of you and call on all of us to continue fighting for justice, peace, and the inalienable rights of our peoples to life, to health, to strength, to hope and faith for the future. A better world, multipolar, just, ethical, spiritually and materially, is already being brought about. And we are here to continue to create it and to defend it. Mr. President, distinguished friends, the sovereignty of a people is not a matter for discussion, but one to be defended with love and the sacred flames of celestial hopes. Thank you very much.
I thank the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Nicaragua. I now give the floor to His Excellency